From the eagle to the people. Welcome. Today I have brought to you Horticulture with Eagle. On top of that, what we've decided to do is because currently the outside situation is not perfect or optimal, we've decided to start our own garden from seed. Yes, we said seed. So, how do you start your own garden from seed? Well, that's pretty simple. First, you've got to get into your car, and then you're going to drive down to your local store, and you're going to find the specific plant you would like to plant. Also, you will need grow bulbs or grow items such as fertilizer, soil, and potting plants. Make sure you pick these up too, because that's good. Now, I personally like to use the Jiffy strips. The Jiffy strip organic degradable potting soil. These are perfect. About a finger deep, half finger, give or take. So, your finger may be longer than my finger or shorter. That is up to you. I am not finger shaming in this, just letting you know that it's about 3/4 of my finger deep, which is perfect for what I want it to be. So with that being the case, what we'll do is we'll take these and we'll fill these with soil. Now these nice little boys come with 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Oh yeah, you can get 10 in one. Okay, the other thing you'll want is to make sure you have a good, solid seed soil. I would suggest, again, Jiffy, 12 quarts, natural organic seed starting mix, a professional greenhouse quality mix. Now this has plenty of peat moss in it, and I like peat moss. You don't have to like peat moss, but plants like peat moss as well. A nice healthy mixture of peat moss in the very beginning will help you get optimal growth out of your plants. So in that case, I like to go with this for the starting purposes. Now what we will be doing is coming back to you shortly with these filled. The third thing you're going to have to do is you're going to want to go ahead and pick up your seeds. Now, if you don't know, I am a horticulturist. Therefore, let's get our seeds. Today, I've decided that we're going to be working with hollyhock. Hollyhock happens to be one of my favorite plants. That and they say Ford hook on them. Ford hook kind of hooked me in a giant way. Okay, so on top of that, what we will be planting as well is some snapdragons eventually. And I will show you guys the kind of light you need. I like to use a simple 4-foot banister light with a T12 grow bulb in it. And that works perfect for me. For you, depending on your space, you may have a higher space or a lower space than I do, so check your local store and make sure you do your measurements so that way you can find what works best for you. Currently though, what works best for me is 4-foot banisters with a 2-bulb process. T12 growing bulbs. Okay, so after you've decided your growing room and you've figured out all the things you would like to do with your growing room, which I have a very limited growing room, but that's okay. You're going to want to pick what kind of flowers you would like to plant. If you don't want to plant flowers, maybe you want to plant some vegetables. We got some vegetable peppers for you. Maybe you want some onions. I don't know. Are you a fan of watermelon? Well, these are the crimson sweets. I hear they're the sweetest of all the watermelons. I could be completely wrong on that. However, when you say sweet, I have to try it. It's just the rule. Sweet is sweet. So I will be the judge of sweet. So what we do have planted is a few of these items, and I will show you. I forgot to mention that if you're going to do this, you may need sticks. Sticks help for labeling. Luckily, being a woodworker, I had those. So now that we've filled our cubes with soil and I've put this towel down, in case you were wondering, no, I'm not angry. I was simply protecting the desk. No. Because of this, I have pre-wet my soil. I prefer to have slightly pre-wetted soil That way you penetrate as it goes, so the seeds have optimal chance. Today we will be working with our friend, the hollyhock. It's always good to have standby coffee. You can get your own coffee mug at Eagle Eye Gaming. Teespring link in the description. Because one of the most important things about making a video is proper ad placement. And having a wet whistle. I mainly only did that so I could say wet whistle. Back to the hollyhocks. These are the Ford Hook Giant mixed colors. Now your temperature zone may change, which will give you a different designated temperature of how to treat these plants. In my case, I'm kind of up in this blue area. That is why they are going inside. These are perennial flowers, now otherwise known as perennial, which is wrong. If you're saying it that way, you are wrong. I would just like you to know that it's perennial. But all the same, I can accept perennial as well, because it is jokingly fun. Now on that, let's jump in. We're going to open this pack. I have enough room for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 plants. We have enough room for 10 seeds. So we're going to hope that we get a nice mix of this pink and this red, because I happen to like red. Red is attractive. Let me get this closer so you can really see. There you go. If you guys are not aware at this point, as we're going to dive into these seeds, I'm going to talk about something real quick. I had posted out on Twitter that I was thinking about doing a horticulturist themed channel or series. Now this is the test to that series, so if you would like the series to continue, please let me know, and I will instead bring up each flower and also teach you a little bit about each flower individually, a little more science behind the grow. Now these seeds are really nice. I like these. These are big seeds. They're real fancy, real easy to work with if I can. Well, you know what? Just look at that hand. Just look at that hand. That is a whole pile of gorgeous seeds. So what we are going to do, and I like to do this with a pencil, however, I did not come prepared with the pencil, so I am going to use my index finger. If you did not come prepared with a pencil, feel free to use your index finger, which may be longer than my index finger, but is still going to penetrate nicely into the soil. So what you want to do is, as you take your index finger, which is now covered in brown stuff, which is dirt, just so you know, you're going to go to the center, right here, and stick your finger right in the center of the soil. And now that you felt that your soil is nice and moist, wiggle that finger down in there. Now you're going to pull that finger back out, and you should be left over with a nice little hole, which I need to move so you can see. So let me see if making another hole will do it. So stick your finger in there, give her a wiggle. Yeah, that's a nice wiggle. Might have been a little excessive with our wiggle there. That is okay. But you can clearly see it made an impression. If not, I will help you see it made an impression. Now do you see? We have impressions. Those impressions will work for planting your seed. Now, I do not run by exact science. There is a specific depth, if you want to be completely correct by the book. However, I find about knuckle deep. Your knuckle may be deeper than my knuckle. However, I find that about knuckle deep, wiggled back and forth in the soil, gets me just deep enough to where I can plant my plant and give it the proper coverage that needs to be given so that it will grow. So again, now that's stuck to my finger because these are not completely moist, which is okay because we will be watering them yet again. So I'm going to continue to rub my finger back and forth in these pots. And yes, you can enjoy a dirty finger too, if you would like to, by learning to garden. Now I like to wipe the extra soil back into the plant, or into the potting spots. That way I have minimal waste. Okay, so now that we have fingered each pod individually. Now, I may be doing this also just so I can release this uncanny amount of finger pods on you, which again, your knuckle may be slightly deeper than mine. Don't worry about it. My knuckle works good for me. You will find what works good for you. Perhaps your knuckle deep is about as good as my knuckle deep. As long as you're somewhere within the realm of halfway down, you should be okay. But you definitely want to get at least half depth. Now, back to our seeds. We're going to take our little seeds, which are right here. We're going to pick up a seed. Just one seed. And we're going to drop it into the hole. And we're going to repeat this process over and over until such time as all of the holes that you have fingered nicely in your soil have a seed in the holes that should be about knuckle deep. So if you forgot, your knuckle may not work as well as my knuckle. That is up to you entirely. So long as you have fingered it about halfway down, you should be okay. Now, if you would like to get fancy, you can always take 1 or 2 extra seeds and throw them into these pods. What that may end up doing is causing you to have to transplant later in sprig form, which is a completely different transplant process. So if we continue this channel, I may possibly show you how to do that. So, as for our extra seeds, we're going to put them back in the bag because we don't want to waste our seeds, because we want to grow as much as possible. Now, these are merely for looks. I do not suggest eating these. In fact, they're probably not good for you to eat, so please don't eat them. But do grow them. They are fun to grow. They are very pretty. So, now that we've got at least a seed in each hole, which is hard to see, but there is one in there. I do promise. There we go. You can see. There's a seed in each hole. So I'm going to try to hold this in the light and bring my finger, yes, this big old stubby finger, over to one of these pods. And then we're just going to play with this pod here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to cover this, lightly dabbing it with our finger. So that way the moist soil is now directly on the seed. And we're going to continue to do this throughout the rest of this seeding pod. I am not going to do this standing up there, because it's just too awkward for my hands. They don't know what to do. They only work. I know. I apologize. They are not the hands. However, this is the best I have. So now that we've covered all of our holes, which we're just about covered with, we've fingered every hole sufficiently, we're going to go ahead and we're going to water these. Now, I will show you what I use to water these. A light misting is probably best, as most seeds will be small and hard to not wash away. Let me re-wet my whistle after fingering my dirt. So what we have here is a 2 cups of water, half full, with 1 cup of water. And that is because I have pre-moistened the soil. I do not need the full 2 cups. I will be surprised if I use the entire 1 cup of water on this. So, now that we have our cup of water, and we have sufficiently fingered our soil, the reason I would use a mister over this is because of the fact that seeds are small and they tend to wash. If you do not have a mixture, and because this is gardening on a budget, we're going to make this work. So, here we have 2 cups of water, and I am going to lightly pour a little just on the top. Not a lot, just enough to get our plants nice and moist. I don't want too much of the soil to move around, as I would risk uncovering our seeds, and that would be bad. But I also don't want to not get them moist. So therefore, we are going to very softly give this guy a little bit of water in each and every pod. Much like that. And you can add a little bit of water to the ones that you don't feel have gotten sufficient water at that point. As for this point, I am satisfied with the amount of water that has entered my soil, and we will be transferring this to the plants below, where I have my wonderful light and all of its brethren ready to grow. So guys, if you would like to see the growth of these further and keep updated, then please follow me on Twitter at Eagle Eye Gaming 1, where you too can see status updates between videos on how these plants are doing. If you like these videos, make sure you smack the crap out of that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. That way, every time we update, you get pinged with it. And now I will roll a short bit of all of the plants that I have in my grow setup currently. Until next time, remember, greatness starts with you. And be sure to let me know in the comments below if you would like to see more. Until next time, stay fantastic. Bye-bye. Really bad lighting in it. If I didn't like this, maybe if I didn't like that. But it's almost better. So, what's up?